This is going to be a quick lesson on just how to maintain consistency in your school's newspaper articles. I'm recording this from school, so the bell might ring in a few minutes, but we'll work through it. So one of the things that papers do is they have a style guide. The Associated Press is famous for theirs. At our school newspaper, we call ours the Style Bible, and we use that term to make it clear, like this is something that you should refer to and use and study, and try not to deviate from. The idea is basically that you want all of your articles to have similar stylistic choices, and that there are practices behind the reporting that are also similar. So maintaining that consistency helps for readability, but also it just helps for kind of the ethical practices behind your journalism. And it's just a good thing overall to maintain that kind of connection between your writers and between editors. So let me give you an example from the document that we've made. So our newspaper, The Classic, we have the Classic Mandaments. There are actually 20 of them. They began as fewer than that, but we broke it down into two different categories. So one is the practices, and then one is the stylistic. Actually, let's start with the stylistic because this is simpler. So number one, write out numbers that are lower than 10. Use numerals for numbers that are 10 or higher. That seems like a really kind of petty thing, but if you do it differently from article to article, it starts to just be sloppy. And this is where you want to be consistent. Use em dashes. Don't use this double dash. Um, Avoid putting the date in the first sentence of the lead of your article. Uh, this is just kind of the world we live in right now, where a lot of people put alternate names on Facebook or social media. So it might be something that looks like it's the name they go by, but they might be trying to hide their name on social media. So don't just assume that when you see them on Facebook that that's the name that they actually want to be quoted by. So we'd have to check in on that. So these are stylistic things. Practices are more like this. Sometimes people submit articles to us where they have anonymous sources, but the anonymous sources are like, someone anonymously said that he really liked the bake sale. That doesn't need anonymity, right? Like if the person doesn't want to give their name for an article on the bake sale, then it's really not worth the quote. We should go try and talk to somebody else. Anonymity should be given in rare circumstances, and you should really talk to the editors in chief about why you're going to grant anonymity and what's going on to get advice. And even then, if you're granting anonymity, what we say is don't quote or allow them to criticize named individuals under the veil of anonymity, depending on the context. So you're not just there to let somebody be anonymous so that they can criticize somebody vaguely. You've got to be really careful about these things, and these are things that we've learned over time. Um, if someone is named in an article, give them a chance to comment. So you might not have intended to interview somebody, but then the person you interview names somebody, and then you include their name in the article, and we really should let them respond, even if it's not that controversial a topic. Rigorously attribute information. That means always try to say where you got something from. This happened according to blank. These numbers according to this source. So we don't need to go through all of these, but the idea is not, what is each of our guidelines, but to have them. And when you're drafting an article, to refer to them as kind of like both the thing that helps you in the drafting process and the thing that helps you before you submit to an editor to edit yourself and revise yourself. So we have these like simple rules, but then we also have lots of examples in our guide, and I'll put a link in for you to see it. But here are some of the examples that kind of go into more detail. For students, name them fully first and then refer to them by their first name for the remainder of the article. So introduce them with their class year. Junior Stephanie Geyer is the current news editor for the school paper. It is a great honor, Stephanie said. So that's what we do with students in our paper. Others might do it differently. With teachers, we have different practices. So all of this is in the Bible. And the idea is not just to refer to it as if it is the Bible that will never change, but also to change it as new things come up. And so, as you're drafting articles this year, I want you to think like, what else do you need to know in that Bible? What else should we include? And we'll update it. But if we continually update it and continually kind of add new things, but maintain that consistency, the paper will be better, your work will be better, and the readers will be better served. So as you're drafting, make sure to refer to our stylistic